so I'm back with Pluto in the 12th house synastry. Wow. Listen, y'all. This one can get messy. Like, we have all type of psychological, unconscious dynamics playing out here. You know, interpreting one another's intentions and emotions, not really knowing how they feel. They don't really know how they feel, because this is just a place to where you're just like, wow, we shouldn't be doing this. There's a possibility we shouldn't be doing this, but we don't know how to stop. We can't stop. We won't stop. Okay. You know, sound like Diddy is this particular synastry. So there's a lot going on emotionally. You know, when things get really bad, there's emotional abuse. There's psychological abuse. There is, you know, triggering of abusive situations that happened. There is victimizing. Like, somebody could literally be the victim in this if there was an abusive dynamic that's playing out. Now, y'all, listen, I don't like talking like this about these situations or triggering people, but this is just real life, you know, with these energies that come up, because it doesn't mean that everybody's going to experience this, but there's a triggering, because what Pluto is trying to do, Pluto changes what it touches, even if it's little subtle change. And depending on what house that change is happening in, or whatever, like, Pluto will take a person and let's say Pluto is in a person's first house. It'll try to not necessarily control. It can try to control the way that the person looks and dresses, but it can also do it from a place of trying to, like, make it better. Like, okay, well, that dress looks great, but that necklace, like, you could have wore another necklace, or you could have, it would have been cute if you wore a leather jacket, that type of thing, because Pluto is trying to change what it touches for the better, but sometimes it's not always for the better. So Pluto here in the 12th house is doing the same thing, but what it's doing is it's triggering the 12th house person's subconscious. So if there was abuse that the 12th house person experienced, but they, like, ruled out, they don't think about, they don't face, Pluto will be here triggering that by way of how they're acting. Maybe it's something about the Pluto person that reminds the 12th house person about something that they experienced. But still, it's going to trigger and wake up certain aspects of the 12th house person that they wanted to hide or they didn't want to show, which brings along a natural intuitive understanding between the two. So they can have shared experiences. They can have secret involvements, period, that nobody else will know about. You could be around them. It could be an affair going on between these two. And they could be in a room or an environment with other people that won't know that this is even happening. Like, these two could literally commit a crime with each other. I'm not saying for y'all to go do this, y'all. I'm telling you that you could, and people will not know what happened. You could take stuff to the grave with you. And this is the same reason why it's very hard to tear away from each other. Be careful of this, because the same reasons and the same abusive or destructive reasons why you should not be around each other, and for what reason, the reason is the same reason why you will find it hard to split up. Pluto could do things to gain control over the 12th house person, knowing, like, okay, well, the 12th house person experienced abuse. The 12th house person has a drinking problem. Hey, let me go and get them more of what they need. Because the Pluto person is like, I'm going to be the supplier of what you need. Even if it's just a shoulder to cry on. Even if it's just to feel like, for you to feel supported. Whatever it is, the Pluto person is going to try to be it, defend it, whatever. If it's looking to keep the 12th house person locked in, okay, for the negative, because the Pluto person is sharing this bond to the 12th house person too. The 12th house person could be a victim, don't get me wrong, or could manipulate Pluto through maybe the same thing that makes them vulnerable, because they could be vulnerable with each other. The 12th house person could be very vulnerable with Pluto, but the 12th house person can manipulate Pluto too with experiences that Pluto's had, like the stuff that it knows about Pluto, knowing Pluto's weak spots, or something that the 12th house person experienced. Like the 12th house person could play victim or the 12th house person may not feel like they're playing victim, but they could be very vulnerable, and it can play on Pluto's emotions. When they get into arguments or altercations, this could become very intense, very emotional, and it can also become violent, because Pluto can demonstrate violence when it's reactive, and it gets, you know, very emotional, and it reacts. Okay, Pluto also can act as a therapist to the 12th house person, or this could be a relationship that blossomed because of that. Let's say a patient and a doctor. Let's say the counselor and the client, whatever, because the 12th house person could be in the hospital or some sort of facility where they're getting treated, and they establish this relationship with the person that's treating them. Like I said, y'all, you have to be careful, because the 12th house is also the house of like jail, prison. So this could be a situation to where you meet one or the other one in those locations and accept them for the life that they had or for what they've done. But you can also commit crimes and other things together to that. You're not supposed to sending both of you or one of you to, you know, these places that you don't want to go. But when all is said and done, when Pluto is operating positively with the 12th house, it can help 12th house acknowledge buried aspects of itself that pushes the 12th house true skill set and talents forward. These two can be into like the occult, spirituality, spiritual situations could trigger here, you know, where you start seeing numbers. I'm gonna do a video on that too, repeated numbers. I might do it after I do this, or other things that, you know, it like creates some sort of spiritual bond with you too. And it could be very hard to just, even when y'all go y'all separate ways, it could be, you won't forget each other. It could be very hard to forget each other in the experiences that you had. It's a sacred interaction. Well, it's secret. It's a secret interaction. It can be. But when things get overwhelming and intense, it can definitely be volatile. It could definitely be, you know, violent. It could definitely be emotional, high strung, sexual, intimate, like no other experience. Like you take each other out of this world, and then there's passion and there's emotions, and you just feel on the intuitive. There's an intuitive link here. Listen, when I say stuff like, so I be careful when I use the term soulmates and stuff, because people use soulmates as a way to stay in situations that they shouldn't. So I'm careful when I use that. But there's definitely a link here. It's intuitive. You can possibly even communicate with each other or understand each other emotionally, talk to each other, communicate with each other, look at each other, and know what the other person is feeling. Okay? So when it's good, it's healing for the both of y'all. When it's bad, it's abusive. Emotionally sometimes. Manipulative. Physically. But y'all know each other, secrets. That could be something that you find that you have regardless of the relationship, regardless if you're romantic with each other, or like, are you stay together with each other or not. It's like a raw, uncut, you can't hide this stuff from each other, these feelings from each other, these experiences from each other, and you might not have that with anybody else. And that's what keeps you together, or keeps you interested in each other, or not able to forget each other over the long haul. over long periods of time. All right, this is Pluto in the 12th house. I'm finished with Pluto. Synastry. I'm butterflies lights. Subscribe to my channel because I will return.